Okay, so welcome back. We are going to resume with arrays. What have we learned about arrays so far? Luis, what do you know about arrays? Oh, two things there. You say an array, right? You say it's a bunch of elements, right? And then interestingly, you also say it can be, each element can be anything. Huh? Maybe a number, or a string, variable. Did we try that? So I have an array of numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could also have an array of words. 1, 2, 3. I can also have something mixed, right? 1, 1. Nothing surprising there. You know this mixed thing, the first element is, and the last one. So that's all okay so far. We know there's something called a method, first and last, right? We don't have that middle, I think. One thing that I haven't been asked by you is that how do you calculate the total of all the elements in an array of numbers? How do we do that?
You did it with the numbers.
Yeah, but I have to know how many numbers I have, right? Did you see this? Is there any way I can calculate the total? Do you know? Oh, if it's arranged, yes, then you get the first plus the last, and then you multiply, right? By you divide by 2, then that's the average, and you multiply by the number of elements.
Would it be the same as line 19?
Line 19, correct.
The number 1 and the word 1. Wouldn't you just...
Line 19. So line 19 looks correct. But we don't know how many elements we have in an array. So let's say I give you a list of numbers. You don't know what's in here, okay? You just know it's a bunch of numbers. How do you calculate the total of all the numbers in that? Yes?
I don't remember the name of the size of the element. I mean, the name of the right dot.
Yeah, dot something, size. Okay. So you say, well, if you have a number, we learned that there is another method called length. It's actually the same as size. You're right, for an array. And that means, remember that numbers thing? We have 4 elements. So, okay, you gotta know how many elements. Don't you want to do something like between 1 and length? I want to do this. How many elements here? 7. So I want to add numbers of length times, and then something like each time I'm going to just add an element in an array to my total. So this is extremely important for an array. We have something called looping in an array. And the way we do it is that you can say numbers.each. So in each element, okay? And then you say do, and that element you can name it any variable. So you have do here and end here. Inside this, 2 spaces in. I'm going to check. So I'm going to print out for you. Number current element is element. Okay, so I'm going to show you, for example, 1, 4, 9, 16. Let's try to run this. Take a look at the things on the right. Does it kind of make sense? So it doesn't matter how many numbers we have in that array. We have something called the each method, and you can look into the array. Sounds good? Let's try an empty array. No numbers. And no number, when you say empty.each do, inside you can call it element. I just shorthand, I can call it E or anything. I can also current, again, if I run this code, do you think line 35 will ever be run? Yes or no? So it's empty. It just, if you call .each on an empty array, that just skipped. So it's fine, right? If you have a 1 element array, so let's say small array, it's only one number. Let's take 1000 here. And then you can guess small array dot each do. Here's an element. I'm checking E right now. It only checked and it run once.
It only runs once because there's only one element in the array.
Right. So if I have 1000 elements, how many times do we run inside? 1000. So knowing that, now can you calculate the total of the elements? Who can give it a try? Ian? Okay, set a variable. I set a variable called my total, okay? So I set it to 0. Okay? And if I have my numbers to be here, 1, 4, 9, 16, I'm explaining it again. Total of numbers equal, okay, we don't know anything yet, so I'm just going to run it. Total of 1, 4, 9, 16 is, that's fine, right? My total is initially 0. Numbers dot each do, and then I tend to call it maybe again element. Do n. This is the pipe character above your enter key. So shift backslash. So now I say my total. Yes, equal E plus what? What do you think? My total. So you increase my total by E. You can even say added E to new my total is, now it looks a little long, so I'll make it short. Okay, so if I run here, my total let's trace line 45, total of 1, 4, 9, 16, and then you go into each element, and my total is E plus my total. Line 48, we try to print added one element, so it's say my total is 0 plus 1 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1, not 0. And then 1 plus 4 is 5. And 5 plus 4 is 9. And 9 plus 16 is, 14 plus 16. You see, that's why we need the computer. It's kind of hard to do it in our head. So that's cool, right? We know how to calculate the total of all the elements in an array. Dot each. Okay? So we learn, just you follow this syntax. Dot each do. Here is a variable name that you can only use inside the do end. Okay? E is a variable you can use inside the do end block. My total is the variable you defined before. You keeping track of the addition of all the values.
Can someone say what E represents?
The element inside the variable. Well, not inside the variable, but the
You're really close, man.
I don't know if it's the words I'm not trying to comprehend, but it represents each element.
Exactly. E represents each element in the array for the loop. So the first time the loop runs, E is going to represent 1. The second time the loop runs, it's going to represent 4. The third time, 9.
Right.
Fourth time, 16. So E changes each time the loop runs.
So that's cool, right? That's a list of number. Thank you, Lloyd. And we can try something else, like students in this class, right? So then let's put a few people in here. Now, how do you say students? How do you print the people in this class? Of course, you can just say put students, and it just print all of them there. Or you have more control if you go student.each, or maybe I call them S, and then you say student S. And it will look like this. Ian? Make sense? What else do you want to do with an array? Anyone feel like if you have an array of students in the class?
Can you do age with the students? Age, like each student's age?
Okay. So maybe in this case, it's an array of students. So you maybe like an array of student age.
Yeah.
And then maybe student, age can't really, and then you say, 21, 31, 19, something like that. You can combine them together, but at this stage, it's a little difficult to use that. If you have a list of students in the class, what else can you do to that list?
Sort it.
Okay, maybe you want to sort them. You want the, here in this case, funnily they're in alphabetical order already. All right, if Gui is late for 1 hour, what should we do to her? We just tell her, hey, don't come to class tomorrow. Then how many students do we have in class tomorrow? That was just remove one student, right? If Fu comes to class and say, hey, I want to join, you need to add a new element to the array. So let's say we have a new student. The name of the new student is Fu, right? Okay? So there's something that you want is, it's like this. Student is like, I want to add this student to my list. Would that make sense? But it won't work because you're trying to add an array with a number. Okay? So there is a different operator. This is pushing a student into an array. So this is before students. Okay. After, I'm just printing out the value of the students array after I add that student to the list. And you see that foo is now inside that student list. Okay? It looks funny, but it appears like what you expect. It looks, it makes sense. You see it once and you probably can remember. Okay? It's the same you may see in some cases. I have another student, another, and then here will be, let's say, I have another student. That's the student's name. You can do this, the same thing, another. It will update the student's array. You can also do, there's a push method that you will see sometimes. Feel free to just use one, but you will see both often, so I need to mention them. So maybe I just print the value of student. So after adding new student, and then I can even print new student, right? After adding that new student, here will be after adding another. And then you have quote, join the class. So what have we learned? Dot each, this shovel operator, but just mean it's just lesson, I guess. And or you can, maybe you call it the push operator, right? You can use the push method. Good question. How do you add two students at the same time? Well, let's try. New group of students. Let's have an exchange. We have people from, we have, is that right? And who else not in the class? Yeah. We want these guys to join. If you only know how to do one at a time, do you know how to add them? You take new group, dot each, yeah? Do, in that student, in that, let's say, I name that S. You can add that to students, right? Students, add S. That work? Does that work for you guys? Does that make sense? So now students is, look how many people we have now in the class. A lot, right? So I have successfully added a new group of students. So new array to an array. Well, Ian is like, I'm not happy. This is long. There must be a faster way. Right? Well, let's try. Here's an array. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's another array. And you want to add them together. What do you think will happen? They combine. So instead of this, option 1, this is how you do it with, but maybe there's a faster way. Students is new students plus new group. Okay? Maybe I don't like changing my students here. I'm just going to call it like new, all students. And then it just becomes super clear. I just combine all students together. So you see the plus operator, you can add two arrays together. Now in your own time, try adding an array that have some similar elements together and see what you get. What do you think? Yeah, because it just add them. It doesn't know, if they're different or not. It just repeat them. So if you have two students of the same name, you just have to deal with that. Or, two groups with the same person, you may not want to do this. Okay?
What about if a student drops out, so you have to take them off?
That's right. All right. How? Yeah, seriously. First day of class and we're talking about dropping out already. So, what if, let's say, do you volunteer to drop out?
No.
Stan is, what index is Stan?
2.
All students, you see that? Stan is 2. Okay? So maybe, let's try to use some English here. Maybe I do like remove 2. Does it work? No. I can remove Stan. Let's try. Oh man, I don't have it. So let's try another English word. Delete Stan. Whoa! Now let's check all students. Stan is not in there anymore. When you say delete something, it will go into an array. It's like this, dot each. Go into an array, and then if it see the same element as this is called the argument you give to the delete method, it will just take it out of the array. Sounds good? Of course, it's a bit weird if you have like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then you delete 2. Well, unfortunately, I need to first give it a value. I save the value to A, and then I say delete 2 from A, please. And I check A. You see what happened? It will go through all the elements and then just, okay, anything that's 2, I'm going to delete them. So Stan, if you appear in the class twice, you say delete Stan and you're gone.
Right. Can you delete just the last 2 and keep the first one? So let's say there's...
You delete the new students. You keep the old ones.
Okay.
That's very common. So, like, you add something to the end and then you just want to remove the last one. That's something that we have to use often as well. And let's check out, this is A. What's the English word that you want to use for that?
Drop.
Yeah, you can probably drop it. So I think if you pop, it's like the champagne bottle, pop, you lose the thing at the top. So every time you pop, you remove the last element. Okay? So in your lab exercise, you have to deal with a little bit of each of these commands. Okay? And one more thing that is useful is that you will often want to sort. You can sort 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 10, 7. This is an array. And the cool thing about array in any programming language is that they provide you a lot of useful methods that you can use without defining the methods yourself. We don't really know what a method is yet. We know that there's something after the dot. So if I say array A dot sort, it will compare the elements in there and it will put the smaller element in front. It reads like English, right? If I have people in the class, all students, one more time, and if I say sort, who's going to be the first one? It's still Louis, but Fu is now ahead of Quirk and Quirk is ahead of we. This dot sort does not change the array. You go back to all students and they stay the same. Okay? So let's pause there and go create a new repo. Work on the array of numbers here. Okay? Don't worry about the bonus one just yet. If some of you already know this stuff, you can work on the bonus next. Let's go.